and welcome. My name is Nazan and I'm the Assistant Branch Manager at RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. I want to just start by saying thank you to everybody for attending today. I really appreciate you joining us for this session, which is a Newcomer's Guide to Wellness. So as you may know, May is month of wellness, and it actually ties very well to our topic today. So we have a very special guest today. We have Dr. Rajesh Ragbir, our naturopathic doctor, who is going to talk about different aspects related to newcomer well-being and mental health, especially during the initial year after landing. We also have Himanshu Avatal, the program manager from Baker Hughes, who is also a recent newcomer, and he's one of our clients, and we're going to hear from him very shortly. So we are going to talk a lot about, some experiences from recent newcomers and industry experts who are going to share their journey and their tips for success for your transition to life in Canada. So also joining by me, my dear colleagues, Ria Ragbir and Farah Mohammed, our banking advisor, who are on the line, and we're also gonna hear from them very shortly. So here, this is what we have for you today. So our agenda for today. So we've had Akisha give us opening from ACCES. So thank you. Next, I'm going to do a bit of our introduction about RBC to get to know RBC as an organization. And then Ria going to introduce our team and gonna talk about what we do at RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. And then we are going to go into the just a discussion between myself and Dr. Ragbir, and then we are going to listen to a conversation from Ria and Himanshu, who very recently came to Canada. So I'm really interested in hearing his story. I've heard a little bit about it from Ria, but I'm like really excited to hear about it from him directly. And then we are going to open up some Q&A and from you guys. And if you have any questions, so put them in the chat box, and we would be more than happy to answer them. And it can be from any of our panelists or participants on today's call. So feel free to put whatever you have in there, and we will wrap up and we will be done by 12 o'clock. All right, so just a little bit about myself as well. I actually came to Canada in 2008, and I truly believe in newcomers, helping newcomers. As a newcomer myself, I had lots of challenges, like probably some of you, like language barrier, culture shock, funding employment. And actually, I wish I could attend the webinars like this back in like 14 years ago. So that's why actually we are here today to help you. So after completing my master's degree in finance from Ryerson University, I actually would like to call it Toronto Metropolitan University, as you know that the name has been changed for a good cause. So after that, I joined RBC in 2011 as a part-time client advisor, and in summer of 2020, I was lucky enough to join the Newcomer Specialist Team as assistant branch manager. I really love this job because I get the opportunity to present in the community and help other newcomers. So that was just a little bit about me. So before we get to the main, the panel discussion, as a proud RBCers, I would like to talk a little bit about RBC. So as you can see, the RBC purpose is helping clients thrive and communities prosper. And our vision is to be among the world's most trusted and successful financial institution. So RBC has around 86,000 employees, so that we all are guided by one set of values. So first is client first. So one of the things that we value above everything else is putting our clients and our community first. So we always want to earn the opportunity to be our clients' first choice, and we put the needs of our clients and our community above our own interests to make sure that we are building lasting relationships. So second is collaboration. We win as one RBC, we are partners, and we work together as one RBC to make sure our clients, our communities prosper. So accountability. So we take our ownership for personal and collective high performance. Diversity and inclusion, which is very important for us as we embrace diversity for innovation and growth. So we speak up for inclusion, empower people to grow and achieve more. And I think that's why we are such a strong and very successful organization. So, and the last but not the least is integrity. We hold ourselves to the highest standard to build trust. So, but is not just RBC. Now I would like to hand it over to Ria to introduce our team and talk about what we do at RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. So thank you, Ria. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Naz. Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. For those of you that are joining in Canada or your respective country, thank you all for being here. We appreciate you all. My name is Ria. I am an advisor at the Newcomer Specialist Team, as Naz mentioned. I joined RBC in 2008, which is actually the same year I moved to Canada from the US. So it's great, and it's important to choose an organization that really aligns with your vision and values as a person. So I too, when I moved in 2008, I wasn't aware, and I didn't really know until now how much I really wish I had these opportunities to connect with fellow newcomers, because moving to a new country, it poses its own challenges as a person. And back in 2008, I was a newlywed, so it posed its own challenges there as well. So I wish I really had the opportunity and to be part of this great collaboration with ACCES and RBC to provide these sort of events is such a great opportunity, and I feel very fortunate. And also to be part of this wonderful team, including Nazanin, who you heard from a little while ago, Farah and Felipe, our wonderful banking advisors, and my dear colleagues. So we're all here to provide the support, the guidance, the resources, the information, the connections, and all these networking opportunities that you have today with all of us to the newcomer community, just to make your settlement in Canada as easy as possible in any way that we can. So yes, we are a small team. However, we are great and a mighty one. We are in different markets and different departments within RBC, where we connect with all the different employees to provide events such as these. And then we've also partnered with multiple organizations within GTA. Then this is the success of the Newcomer Specialist Team from the commitment of our newcomer partners. And we're grateful for partners like Keisha at ACCES Employment. It's been an ongoing partnership since we opened our doors in 2019. And it's great that RBC and ACCES Employment are so passionate about helping the newcomer community. Together, we're able to provide the resources and that value beyond banking by showing the strength of one RBC. But we're also very proud of the winning partnership that we have within the community due to our presence, our team, and especially our events. We enjoy building events of relevance and interest to our newcomer community, just like today, but we have these financial literacy events and these beyond banking events. So with these events, we're able to provide the advice on the Canadian banking system, because we do know it varies from country to country, and of course with the beyond banking pieces as well, providing the advice based on our experiences and sometimes leaning on industry experts like Dr. Ragbir today and our recent newcomers that are joining us, Himanshu. And unfortunately, his wife is in flight right now to Saskatchewan, so she will not be joining us. But her better half and her other half is joining today and will be sharing all her perspectives, all her details, and especially their journey together individually and as a couple as well. So I hope you have a better understanding about RBC, who's here with you today, the Newcomer Specialist Team, who's always here with you. And now for the highlight of the event, I'll hand it back to Naz to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ria, for introducing RBC Newcomer Specialist Team. It's such a cool incident that we moved to Canada both in 2008. So as a newcomer, awesome. So as I said, so we're gonna have Dr. Ragbir. So thank you so much, Dr. Ragbir, once again for taking your precious time to be here today. And so we would love to hear from you, actually. So please share a little bit of your personal experience and your challenges, not only as a naturopathic doctor, but also as a newcomer yourself. Like what was your mood over especially the first 12 to 18 months? What was the challenges you went through? And I know you have a lot to offer, so can't wait to hear from you. I'm just passing it over to you, Dr. Ragbir.
Thank you, Naz. Good morning, everyone. And I want to thank everyone for having me, the team for inviting me to speak. So as you can see in my bio there, I moved to Canada in 1992 and I'm from Trinidad, so the weather was a little bit different there than it was here. But luckily, I came here in the summertime, but still it was a little bit cool. So there was that to get used to. Because when I came out from the airport, I thought the parking lot was air conditioned, only to realize that that was the actual temperature of the place. It was about 20 or 22 degrees, and I was like, okay, here we go. So I guess my journey would have been pretty similar to most people. You come and you're sort of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, expecting to hit the ground running and get started with your career and your life and do everything else. And as usual, you find challenges. So there are things that you have to get used to. Like I said, the weather is one. But depending on, when you come, if you have a family, I was single and I was living with my siblings. So I had some support there. That made the transition a little bit easier. I didn't feel the immediate sort of desperation to find a job, get a career, and find housing and all of these things. But those are very real things that people have to deal with when they first come. And also getting used to transit. So I didn't have a car, so I had to use transit, TTC, the Red Rocket, everywhere. And so regardless of the weather, you had to get out there and take the subway. Luckily, I lived across the street from the subway, so it was easy. But once I needed to go anywhere else off the subway grid, then it was using the bus. And through snow and through sleet and through rain and everything else, you got out there and did the thing. As far as mood and mental health goes, there's always a little bit of a cooling off period that a lot of people experience. So it's sort of like, after the honeymoon of moving is over and you're sort of like, into the groove of it, there's a period where things start to settle a little bit and you find yourself not necessarily experiencing like low mood, but there are periods of where it's sort of a lull, where there isn't a lot happening. You're working, you're coming home, you're doing the usual thing, and then you start to feel like, I need a little bit more. And so you can feel um, a little bit of a letdown kind of experience, I guess, is how I would put it. And that's where, I found that I had to rely on the things that I was used to before. And I used to play a lot of sports before I came. So that became my outlet. So it wasn't unusual. Some days, 7 days a week, I would find something to do. And I refused to sit in the house, because to come home and you're living in an apartment and it just felt like, the walls were small and I needed to get out. So I every day I managed to get out of the house, and it didn't matter what the weather was. I just needed to go and do something physical, because that really made me feel, it lifted my mood, it lifted my energy and everything else. So I would say that's, those are the things that you would tend to see typically in speaking to people who are immigrants. And, after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you start to notice a sort of similar pattern with a lot of people. And that is, as I said before, you come in, you are ready for it, and you do the thing, and then you start to notice, sorry, you feel like you're slowing down a little bit, like things are slowing down, and you need to sort of recalibrate your compass and your bearings. So, and that was kind of like what my experiences had been over that period.
Thank you so much. Very encouraging, very inspiring. So I guess most of our newcomers actually passing through the same stage that we have passed, right? So your experiences actually would be very beneficial for them, and help the newcomers overcome the difficulties around their way. Like as you said, sometimes you feel that okay, you passed the honeymoon, and then you feel that okay, so you need something. You need something more, right? So, and then is sometimes it's about the weather, and then adjusting to the local weather conditions, figuring out the food, medications. So these are all of the challenging things that might happen for all of our newcomers. And because we all know that starting over in a new country can be very challenging and very exhausting, as you constantly, as you said, you might miss your life and your community back home, especially for those who have experienced separation from loved ones. For those who just come here, they do not have any friends, they do not have any relatives. So and obviously is going to be very challenging, but something that you brought it up, I would say that do not just stay home. For most of us, even we work from home, so you just need to do something physical, like and also to cope with the stress, with the stress that it caused you moving when you moved to the new country. Your words made me go back to in time when I came actually to Canada in 2008. I completely agree with you. I had also the feeling, I had lots of like up and down, and it took time to get used to Canadian culture. But I can say that Canadians people are very kind, they're very patient, they support newcomers to Canada in a very extremely useful way. So again, as Dr. Ragbir said, just try to do something physical and do exercise, which is really important. So another question for you, Dr. Ragbir. So looking back on your own personal and professional experience, so what would your advice be to a newcomer coming to Canada today? And how would you approach their mental, physical, and then spiritual wellness? I know you touched on some great points, but what else? Like would your approach for their mental, physical, and spiritual wellness for newcomers?
Okay, so thank you for asking that, because that's kind of my whole jam, if you will, when I work with people, is because naturopathic medicine, for those of you who don't know, is sort of it's holistic. So it's a 360-degree approach that we take, which includes mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and social. So in fact, when we speak to people, our intake, in the initial intake, we call it a biopsychosocial intake that we do. So we're looking at life from several different aspects. So the first thing I'm going to say is in terms of the physical, you do want to take care of the basics, and the basics being what everyone talks about, drink some water, get some exercise, look after your sleep, all of these things. Drinking water I see it as almost, I would categorize that in the form of a ritual where you take a little bit of a mini break, because it's very easy to get involved in an activity and sort of lose yourself in it, and then you find that you've been there for maybe hours and you haven't moved. And especially if you've been working from home, you can sit in the same spot for quite a while. So one of the strategies that people use is to sort of, what I recommend is sometimes you do a couple of things. One, you could put, I used to give people these little smiley face stickers that they could put in different locations. And if you see that sticker, that was a sign that you should take a pause. Sort of take a breath, get up, stretch, drink some water, maybe walk, take a 1-minute walk and come back. The other strategy especially for newcomers is to kind of find your herd. So for me, that was, finding the people who, sports wise, and actually some of those people that I met way back then are still in my life now. So that's, 30 years. This year is 30 years I've been in Canada, and I still know some of the same people that I met way back then. So, I mean, don't underestimate the value of, reaching out and finding people who share common interests with you. And with social media, there's lots of opportunities to find different things. So there's groups like Meetup where you can go online and find, walking groups, hiking groups, reading groups, whatever you're into, you can find out there. And it's also a really good way to network. So like if you're looking for, to maybe switch careers or to, improve your skills or anything, those are great ways to meet people as well. Exercise, as I mentioned before, is really good. It helps with your mood. It helps with your physical well-being. It helps with sleep. It helps with, just about everything. And there's great research that shows it doesn't take much. Maybe 20 minutes, half an hour of walking every day would be enough to kind of lift all of those aspects. Sleep is a very important thing. Most of us, unfortunately, I don't mean to pick on Netflix, but Netflix and the similar things, Apple TV and Google Prime, Amazon Prime, sorry, and all of those things, you can stay up pretty late watching those things. And certainly, we tend to do that sometimes as well. And that cuts into your sleep, and that impacts your physical and mental health and your ability to perform as well. So it's understanding and having some good boundaries when it comes to those as well. One of the things that happens to a lot of people when they move to Canada is weight gain. And the weight gain is usually due to a sedentary lifestyle. And that means you're not moving a lot because, again, sometimes due to the weather, in the wintertime especially, like it's cold outside, no one wants to go outside, because it's cold. And if it's snowing, you just want to sit inside, and there's the TV and there's, food to eat and stuff to drink, and very slowly it creeps up. And so being aware of, what you're eating and how much you're eating and when you're eating, those are very important aspects. And I work with people on that as well. I myself do intermittent fasting and different things to kind of, manage my my physical health. And because it's very easy, especially when you are over 40, which no one on this call is, I assume. You're all young, healthy people. But it does happen. It can happen, and your body starts to slow down. So you want to be aware of that. My main thing though is the mental and emotional aspect of life. In my opinion, that sets the tone for everything else. So one of the things that I ask people, sort of provocatively, because sometimes you need to be a little bit provocative in order to get people out of their sort of usual mindset, because we place limitations on ourselves. We say, well, I've never done that, or I'm not good at this, or I always do things this way. And the thing is, if you always do things the way you've always done it, then you'll always get what you've always gotten. And so if you want something different, then you have to do something different. And the best place to start is with mindset. So what's your mindset? Can you sort of become aware of, what your emotional loading is? So one of the things that I ask people is, can you be happy for no reason? Because, we're sort of conditioned into waiting for when. So when I get the job, when I get the house, when I get the car, when I get this, whatever it is that you're waiting for, then I'll be happy. And usually that happy lasts for about 5-10 minutes. Well, it might last a little bit longer, but really it doesn't last long enough to be sustainable. So my question is, can you be happy for no reason? And then people say, well, if I'm happy for no reason, then I won't want to do anything, which is also not true, because what you will notice is that when your mood is good, when you're feeling good about yourself, you tend to do more rather than less. And when you're not feeling good about yourself, you don't want to do anything. So why not focus on your mood and find ways to improve your mood? And you can do that by just thinking of happy things that you've done before, things that have happened, maybe winning a door prize or winning some other thing. How you felt when you found out you're moving to Canada, maybe when you got your citizenship or your immigration papers, or you got that new job. Just remembering that already lifts your mood, and it's free. You don't have to spend any money for your memory. So use that, lift your mood, and then you'll find that, doing some of those, things that you might hesitate on would be a little bit easier. I'm a little bit mindful of the time, so I'm going to stop there because, as you can tell, I could probably go on for another couple hours like this. So
Thank you so much, Dr. Ragbir. I learned a lot. Like, I really enjoy listening to you. You brought up so many great tips, like I love the way that you talk about like just get out of your usual mindset, right? So because it's exactly what you said, that if you want something different, so then you have to do things differently. And it's just a start from your mindset. And I love the tips that you just brought up. Like just ask yourself, can you be happy with no reason? This is absolutely true, because most of us, we were just waiting to get a promotion, to be happy, to get a job, to get to buy a car, buy a house. But as you said, this kind of happiness just they won't last forever, because they might even take 10 minutes or at least one day or 1 week. So it's just about just be happy with no reason, and that's how we can lift our mood. And you're absolutely right about the gaining weight. I remember that when I just came to Canada, I started to trying different food, fast food. I was so excited to try like lots of fast food that because when I was back home, I used to eat my traditional food. But this is important, that moving to Canada does not mean that you have to change the way that you eat, so you can continue eating your traditional foods. And so one thing that I really love about Canada is that, as I said before, like Canada is a diverse country, and you can actually find so many of your traditional foods. I actually found one of my childhood snacks at one of the Iranian supermarket, and it was so exciting, and then I really actually surprised. But yeah, so you just brought up so many great points about, as you just said, it's just better to take care of the basics first, like drinking water, sleep well, following because following these tips goes a long way. And as I said, most of us just sitting in the same spot for a while because we work from home. And I love the idea of just sticking the smiley face in different places, just as a reminder to just take a pause, just walk for a minute or drink a glass of water. So thank you so much again, Dr. Ragbi. I personally learned a lot, and I really enjoy listening to you. So I wish we had more time, to ask you more questions. So thank you again. So we're gonna get back to you at the end by probably lots of great questions from our attendees. So now I would like to hand it over to my dear colleague Ria to get us started for the second part. Thank you, Ria. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Naz. I too was just busy taking notes. Dr. Ragbir did provide great points. Being aware of your mindset, and can you be happy for no reason? I think I need to put that into practice, because I'm very much that person. Like, okay, if I do this, then I'll be happy. If I do this, and I think I speak for many people when I say that. I mean, you probably, Dr. Ravi, you have your patients that are have already implemented this, but thank you very much for the tips today. And I will try to implement them myself. So again, thank you for being here with us and providing those great tips for the newcomer community that have joined us today. So we wanted to move on to the second part of our segment today. And I'm very thrilled, I'm very happy to bring this wonderful couple that I have here with me, Niharika and Himanshu. And they actually have joined our call similar to this, actually the exact call in 2020. And that's the year I actually met them. And in 2020, they joined this call in January as they were busy preparing for their move to Canada, and we've kept in touch, stayed in touch, and then they moved to Canada in 2021. But throughout that time, from when we met to 2021 and, going on to 2022, we're still very much in contact. I like keeping abreast of all their accomplishments. I'm just so proud and so honored to be in their presence and just to hear their accomplishments since they've arrived in Canada. And I've invited them to this call because I wish to do the same for everyone that has joined this call today, and just to be inspired and to provide a wonderful networking opportunity as well. This is a great couple that you can connect with. They have a lot of tips and a lot of experiences to share, because at some point we all have been newcomers. I think everyone on this call, we've all have been a newcomer at some point, and we all can take away a little piece of each other and help each other in some way. So that is the purpose of my team and RBC, and we provide these tailored events, just like today, where we cater to the newcomer community. We find some aspect that we can touch on and help to inspire them to make their journey a little bit better. So that brings us to our second part today, and I would like to hand it over to Himanshu. He is a program manager at Baker Hughes, and I would love for him to share a bit about himself, and then we can get started with our piece. So over to you, Himanshu.
Sure. So thanks everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. And it's indeed a pleasure to be, invited to such an event, because as Ria exactly explained, back in 2020, I attended pretty much this call, and I remember meeting Khushbu on one of these events, and it has been a wonderful journey since then. So just to talk about myself in a very short, very short statement. So I'm born and brought up in Mumbai, India, and I've been, I've done my MBA from UT Austin, and I've been in energy for almost now 9 years, and it's been absolutely a pleasure, working across the world. But so it's great to find a home in Canada now, because I've been sort of hopping all around the world, and finally I've found a place where we want to stay and maybe raise a family in the future.
Thank you so much, Himanshu. I actually wanted to hop over to Niharika's slide. I got a message from her that she will not be able to make it.
Okay.
We were hoping that she would be able to join and probably land early at Saskatchewan, but unfortunately she's not able to join us today. But if we can just hop over to her slide, just to show, and I'll just read out her bio quickly for everyone that's joining the call. So this is Niharika. She's a senior consultant at Deloitte, Canada. She graduated from the University of Mumbai with a Master's of Engineering and Instrumentation, and Control. And obviously she immigrated in 2021 with her husband. She joined Deloitte Canada as a senior consultant in supply chain practice. I've been in touch with her. I've been through her entire journey for every position that she's applied for every company that she's applied for. And, we've been in touch since she's landed, and, obviously since 2020. She has 6 years of experience in supply chain, procurement, and technical consultant in energy industry. She's very passionate about sustainability and digital procurement, and her interests are cooking, yoga, meditation, and traveling to gain new experiences. So I know you guys recently, like I said, came to Canada in 2021, but I'm very, intrigued and very inspired by the journey that you've had thus far. And I can't wait, just to do the same for newcomers, just to inspire them, to help them in some way. And you mentioned that you connected with Khushbu during the same call in 2020, and I know she also has been very inspiring to me as well, and many newcomers, and she connected with them. And this is the purpose of our call today, is to provide that networking opportunity. So I guess this is your opportunity as well to pay it forward.
Yeah.
So you've done that with Khushbu, and now it's your opportunity to help those that have joined the call today and just do the same. So having said that, myself, I I chose Canada, for several reasons. One, the main one, my husband is Canadian, so I came to Canada for that reason. However, I chose Canada because I saw it as a country that really values um, work-life balance. It really values family, and I sense that with my first visit. I took a summer off university, and I came to this country, and I was very much in love with it when I came. That was back in 2000. And at that point, I said, okay, I really like this place. I'm definitely going to marry this Canadian guy and move here. But share with me, what was yours and Niharika's reason for joining, moving to Canada?
Absolutely, and I strongly believe that every individual, every couple, every family has their own story and own journey, and same goes with us. So just to give you a background, so me and Niharika have been married about 8 years now, and out of which I've been away from her for almost 3.5, 4 years, just because of the nature of my job. In fact, when we married, I was in Malaysia. Then I moved to UK, moved to Norway as well. And once I came back to India, I chose to do an MBA in Austin, Texas. So I was again away for 2 years while she continued her career back home in India. And for us, the biggest challenge was trying to find a way to sort of live together and work together in the same country. So it becomes very difficult if you don't have, say, example, a degree in the US, or you don't have a work location which is common, right? So that was a key, key thing which attracted, us to Canada was the express entry program, and also all of these resources, right? I mean, there are pre-arrival services from Access Employment. RBC, of course, was a great help for us for the transition. But more importantly, it was based on the merit, right? It was based on our education, based on our language skills, based on the fact that we have had some work experience, in the industry, and from there you can sort of start off with a base and then sort of go ahead, right? And that was a key thing for us. But of course, I mean, what was even surprising was like the focus on diversity and inclusion, the focus on being open, focus on helping each other. I think these were the things which we realized more and more once we started interacting with people, through webinars like this, through meetings like this, and you find yourself in a webinar, you form a, if you know each other, you form a WhatsApp group outside, you connect on LinkedIn, and that's how you grow your network, so to speak. And also you get, because as I explained, every journey is different. So maybe the things that appealed to me or things that helped me may not necessarily help you, but I may know a person who might be able to help you, and that's how it goes. I mean, you have to, even though if you're not able to help someone directly, it's so much better that you can get them to connect to a particular organization or person. So that's the way I would think, and that's what sort of helped us, get settled over here pretty soon.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. I do remember when we initially met back in 2020, and we had our WebEx meetings like this. While you were in India, there were times when you would, for schedules to coordinate, you would have to wake up in the middle of the night to be able to speak to me in the morning. So those are some of the things that we do provide, those type of services where we do speak to the newcomers and to provide the guidance and give them the information about RBC or all our experiences, and talk to the newcomers in their respective country. So that's one of the things that you have done. But what are some of the other things that you have done as well, and Niharika, to prepare for your move to Canada?
Yeah, so thanks for a question, because we had started preparing pretty much 6 months, 8 months in advance, and that's a story for most people, because normally there is a waiting timeline, but we also moved here pretty much in the pandemic, right? So it's important and going back to what Dr. B talked about, like keeping wellness in mind, right? It's so easy to get frustrated. It's so easy to feel that, hey, why is this happening with us, say, for example. But it's very important to focus on the positives, and it's very important to focus on the things that will help you in the future, right? It can be about learning a new skill set. It can be about maybe practicing your interviewing skills. And you have to understand even the format of the resume is different in Canada as compared to some other countries. So it's so much easier if you start planning for these things right from the start. If you are sort of still waiting to immigrate over here, and apart from that, it's also important to listen to people's experiences, because every journey is different, and you might hold on to certain aspects. It can be in terms of how to plan your finances, and that's where I think RBC is really helpful. It can be about how to plan your health, because the health system is different. So you need to speak to people about here how different the systems works here as compared to your home country, and from that, it's also about building relationships or connecting with people who have already been here, done that, so to speak. And it can be through LinkedIn, it can be through Facebook groups, it can also be through one of your friends or relatives. So pick the way you want, but it's very important to listen to people and sort of form your opinion about what you would like to do for you and your family. That's the way we prepared Ria, and yeah, it was a great journey, so to speak. I mean, for us, it was sort of unique because of the pandemic, our COPR had already expired. So for us, we were pretty much confused about what's going to happen. Are we going to immigrate in the near future or not? So that time it was all about friends and family really supporting us. We have sort of been there and to help us plan for the future, and that's exactly what happened with us. We had to make a decision within 10 days that we were going to move, and we just had about 2 months to actually make the move. So if I had more time, I would have spoken about it, Ria, but yeah, taking care of the time, you can move on to the next question.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I do remember, us having this conversation, and I remember like 1 week you would say, yes, we're moving this day, and then the date, the target has moved because your COPR has expired. So yes, I know you had the challenges within moving itself. So thank you for sharing that as well. I'm just really curious to learn how you back in India, what resources were available to you for where you learned about that event that you attended in 2020, or even the resources that ACCESS provided for yourself and Niharika?
Yeah, so Access Employment has like two different types of programs. So one is like pre-arrival. So when you are scheduled to be moving to Canada, but you haven't actually landed in Canada, there are certain pre-arrival programs, including webinars like this, which are free for all. But they also provide specific services for resume writing and connecting with other organizations, including RBC. So we actually started creating that network through these webinars, like talking to Kushbu, talking to some other people. There's also another organization which we were involved in, and some of them, because because of the pandemic, everything was virtual. But it was luckily that we were in the same cohort, and we actually shared our numbers with each other and formed a WhatsApp group. And that's where we sort of got the sort of the peer group to work along with, to discuss about simple things about how to get your job reference letters, how to work on your resume, how to work on your interviewing skills. And so that's where I think Access Employment and RBC was a huge help. And once you land over here, that process continues. You need to inform them that you have landed over here, and that's when the post-arrival services start, which can include job seeking services, also attending career fairs, and also connecting you with the experts in your own field. Say, for example, you're from construction or supply chain or finance. Access Employment and RBC are able to help you with finding those connections. because this is something which they do day in, day out. So it's better to leave it to the experts. And the best part is all of this is funded by IRCC or by the sponsor organizations. So you don't have to necessarily spend anything apart from your time with this.
I know, I know you both have invested a lot of time in doing your researches and finding the resources. And even we've spent a lot of time together on WebEx before you came, and we discuss, the RBC account packages, because, you do have the option to choose the bank when you arrive in Canada, when you move to that new country, and you chose RBC. So thank you very much for that. And, we've discussed in details about the packages that we offer to the newcomers. And you had a list of questions, and I was available to cover those with you, and I'm happy we were able to do that. And we formed our friendship and our connection that way. So I'm very, again, happy to have met you both. I'm really sad Niharika can't be here, but I know she's probably in flight still, and I know you are speaking on behalf of both of you. But just one quick question. What would you say is your proudest moment as a couple or individually? I know Niharika's, I've talked to her about this, it's landing that job at Deloitte. But what would you say is your proudest moment since arriving in Canada, just for yourself and as a couple as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'll speak for myself first before talking for both of us. So for me, as I mentioned previously, I've sort of worked around the world, and I've stayed in various places before. So I thought when I was moving to Canada, that this is going to be the same thing. I've sort of done this before. I can easily do it. But it's very different when you're actually uprooting yourself from your home country and making the conscious decision to move to another country. I was, genuinely concerned about how we will, be settled over here. And when we came over here, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. I fortunately was able to hold on to my job because my job allowed remote working. But unfortunately for Niharika, she had to leave her job, back in India and move over here. So the biggest concern for us was like, where are we going with this? Even though we moved here on a PR, we were like, thinking twice about our decision about, okay, what about after 6 months, 9 months, are we going to go back? And those are the sort of thought process which come into here. And that's where you need that support, around you to sort of be conscious about your decision. Of course, be practical, but you can't be negative about it. And that's where you have to keep up your mental, and that's what happened to us. I mean, for me, I was really glad to have you and others as our friends and support, where we could actually sort of make the decision to stay here. And of course, then things started happening, right? Then Niharika got a job in Deloitte. I'm also moving into a new role, on 6th of June. So things are happening, and slowly but surely, even though you're away from your family, your support system around here, your friends start becoming like your family. I mean, every weekend you want to spend time with them, you want to learn from them what's new. But what's important to remember is, always learn from others, but don't get, don't try to compare your journey, because it's very important to be focused on your own journey and be conscious about the decisions you're doing. Don't try to think about, okay, somebody has bought a house, somebody has bought a car. Don't get sort of dragged into it. It's something which is your own decision as a family, and you must own up to it.
Thank you for bringing up that point, because we can sometimes get caught up and do that comparison with our own within our own group of friends. Yes, my friend bought a house, I'm still behind. Why am I not on track? But yes, everyone's journey is different, but we're trying to get to that. We're following different paths, but we're going to get to the that end point. So thank you so much for bringing that up. In light of what, the purpose of our call and mental health awareness for this month, what would you say you and Niharika are doing to like combat that, or even preserve your mental health, actually? Because I know you both work from home. You're together 24/7. So in that case where it's a couple, I mean, it's great that you guys have each other. But the people that have migrated, you know, and they're here by themselves, like, what are you guys doing? Maybe they would be able to take a page off your book for that.
Yeah, sure. So, I'll be honest here. I was never a fan of meditation because I think it always happens when you see
I
too
don't
much
think
of
Rajesh is happy about that. I'm just kidding.
because it's like if you see too much of something happen at home, then you start off, sort of wean away from it. So my father was a big fan of yoga and meditation. I mean, he used to do it every day. And for me, that's why it became almost like, okay, I don't want to do this. Okay. But somehow, I'll tell you, through the pandemic, since moving here, something as simple as even you can use an application for that, right? You can use Headspace, you can use Calm, you have so many others available. It actually helps you. I mean, it's not only about focusing on your breath, but it's also forming a ritual, right? Even if it means just like you're concentrating on your breath for 2 minutes. So this is something which we started, both me and Niharika, and it has worked wonders for us. I mean, do we, we don't utilize it to the best benefit, I would say. I mean, there are people who are experts there, but it's important to have a ritual. It can be walking, it can be meditation, it can be sports even, right? So it's important to have a ritual outside of your home and outside of your work life, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing, Ria, it would be about being social, because I think we lost out on that a big time from work from home and even from the pandemic, right? And coming to a new country, it's not necessary that you have friends over here. So it's very important that we keep on sort of developing that bonds relations slowly but surely, and sort of then sticking to it. So that's the way I would put it, Ria, and that's what kept us sane for this entire year.
That's great. I think that's a great tip to follow. Yes, I highly recommend. I do have Headspace on my phone as well, so I think it's great. I think I'm very proud and I admire the journey of you both individually and as a couple. And I do talk about you guys a lot with my other newcomers, and I ask them to connect with you, same as you've done when you attended the webinar. So I've asked many of the newcomers to connect with you on LinkedIn, and even with us. My team and I, we do provide that service of chatting with you before you arrive, answering your questions before you arrive, and that does help alleviate some stress and help you with that checklist. And you get to tick off finding a bank. You get to tick off, okay, who do I connect, who's my friend here in Canada, who do I go to, which team do I go to, which organization should I reach out to. So I'm glad we were able to do that. I'm very honored to have you here with us. But I wanted you to just quickly share, is there anything, maybe one or two things that you can share with our attendees today that you wish you knew before you move? And what is that thing you would have done differently? And I think I want to ask that same question to Dr. Ragbir as well.
Yeah, so for me, being a recent newcomer, and again making the decision pretty much in a span of about 2 years, I don't think I sort of started building relationships pretty late in Canada. It's very important to start networking from advance. So, even though I did attend this webinar, I did attend I had some friends over here. I don't think I took a conscious effort to sort of maintain that, and I think that's your strength. I mean, if you stick to it, that's going to be your strength over here. So start networking early, and also if you want to change your career, try to know more about the career rather than expecting to get a job after landing here. It's important for you to understand the differences between the career back home versus a career here. So those are two things. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Dr. Ragbir, I know you moved in 1992, but is there anything that you would have done differently having, I guess, now for someone that's moving in the year 2022?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a ton of things I could have done differently. But I think one of the main things would have been, as Himanshu just mentioned there, in terms of networking and finding out, like, if you want to find a career, because when I came here, it was just out of school, so I didn't have a job even, so I didn't really have a career. And so kind of finding my way, I think if I would have focused a little bit more on, really finding out what is my passion and what I want to do. I did try, but I think I tried a little bit too much on my own. And it would have been helpful, as Himanshu said, to reach out to people who were probably in the field and would have been able to better direct me. And as everyone here has said, Canada is well set up for newcomers. There are lots of resources. And so talking to other newcomers and finding those resources is probably something I would have, sort of accessed a little bit more. But, if you're in a situation where you felt like you took long to settle in, it's okay. I mean, you kind of have to go easy on yourself as well. And, circumstances are different for everyone when you come here. So, yeah, those are the things I would change. But sometimes your journey is your journey, and where you are is where you are. So I'm just grateful for everything that I've been through and that I have right now.
So I guess you would definitely say you can be happy for no reason then.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's my biggest takeaway. I wrote it down. I'm really going to try to practice it. Thank you so much for your insights, for your experiences, your knowledge, and sharing that with us today, Dr. Ragbir. And Himanshu, thank you so much for sharing and being so honest and open with everyone in attendance today. I hope we were able to inspire them and, just help them in some way, because as you've mentioned, everyone's journey is different. Don't lead with comparison, because everyone's journey is different. It's going to be different. And, the newcomer specialist team is always here for you. You can connect with Naz and I. We'll share our information on the next slide. You can definitely connect with us. If you have a more personal question, you can reach out to us to connect with our guest speakers today, Himanshu and Dr. Ragbir. Definitely connect with us. We're here for you for that. And thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, Naz and Dr. Ragbir, again for your first segment. Mental health, it's very important for everyone, especially for the newcomer community. Just reach out. There is someone that is willing. We're all willing to share our journeys because we've all experienced it, and it's going to be different for everyone. So we're all willing and happy to share our journeys to help in any way. So I'll actually hand it over